But all these things,
appeared before the courts, and that what you're seeing is the virtual hearing. And that's what's on the screen now. You see him seated in the jumpsuit, which is the dark blue jumpsuit. It's actually the color code for the least risky detainees. So he's part of the least in terms of the levels of risk of detainees. What happened in court after we, the public, who were observing this online, were asked to leave was that this case has been adjourned to April 27. April 27. That is the immigration case against him by the ICE. And also the bond application has been adjourned, that hearing to February 19. February 19. That is the development, because the trial judge asked for the evidence of the extradition request by the government of Ghana. The Department of Justice, we understand, will make that available. And this is an issue that has, even though was being held in the United States, has huge Ghanaian interest. In fact, at some point, the number of Ghanaians I could count on this virtual hearing, quite a lot of them, and until we were let go, because Ofori-Atta's lawyers requested for a private hearing, which was granted by the trial judge, by the way, as of right of the detainee. Now, February 19, April 27, those are the two dates to have in mind. Now, Kpebu, I started with you at this point because of the consistent point you keep making about what you see as a difficulty in the process of getting Ofori-Atta back. You say his investment in the United States might make it difficult to get him extradited to Ghana anytime soon. Why is that?
Yeah, so I made a point that, yes, investment. The U.S. thrives on a lot of foreign investment, a lot of foreign debt. You check their economy, they're always thriving on foreign debt, right? That's why I made a point that the Japanese, Canadians, the Saudis, etc., have billions and billions. Even for the Saudis, it's in trillions in the U.S., right? So you see why, when you look at U.S.-Saudi relations, you see how, even though they had, the Americans, the previous Biden regime had issues with the Jamal Khashoggi, this assassination. You see that Trump, because he's very transactional, in no time, he quickly cozied up to the MBS, the Saudi Crown Prince, and now they are in good business. He says, so the Saudis are not even responsible for the death of Khashoggi, right? So that is the plain truth. The American economy invites a lot of foreign investors. And so it comes with some protection. Now, with the way Ofori-Atta is invested in there, you see that one of his lawyers, John Ashcroft, Ashcroft is a lobbyist as well. He's a lobbyist. And what we say in America, the lobbyists, they are the people who go around, okay, midnight, influencing government policies, etc., getting things done. They fix issues for you, They fix matters. So, and with that choice, John Ashcroft, who was former Attorney General from 2001 to 2005, that's a colossus. So it tells you that there will be a lot of power play. This thing is not a joke. There will be a lot of power play. So that's why I'm saying that looking at everything, if we are judging by what is on paper, it's a very complex fight. Very complex. And you see now, the next hearing is in what? April. Is that also?
Yeah, that's for the
bail. And that's
the bail is February 19th.
19th, oh sorry.
Yeah, but
and then
the April is for the substantive case of the immigration.
Now, yes, so you see that the trial will go on, and we all know that even under the extradition side has come on, it even makes it more complex. You know that extradition takes more time. So we are analyzing that. If we look at what is on paper, which is that Ofori-Atta has millions of investments in the U.S., then it complicates the fight. It complicates the fight. It's not just, an ordinary John Doe that you just catch and then throw out. No. And look at the pedigree of the lawyers. It doesn't come cheap. That's a lot of money. John Ashcroft, Google, you're talking about millions of dollars in legal fees alone. Millions of dollars in legal fees alone. And he didn't just take one lawyer. Then he took the Afghanistan man too. The Kashimi. Kashimi is also alleged to have fled from Afghanistan. He fled from accountability. You see?
Well,
you Google, you see, aviation minister.
But if you talk about the millions of investment, there was a question when you made this point. One that wanted to find out exactly what investments Ofori-Atta has in the United States. If you say millions, what do you know?
Oh, so some are in stocks, bonds, U.S. Treasury, bonds, stocks, etc. Then private investments as well. It's no secret. Okay, so both public and private.
I see.
Both public and private. And now that he has the lobbies in there, as I said, when you see lobbies brought in there, Charlie, this fight is far more complex than.
So this investment you're talking about is one that can be publicly verified. You pick some information you are looking into. I just want to find out because these questions I keep getting that you keep referencing Ofori-Atta's millions of investment in the United States. It's going to make it difficult for him to be extradited.
Oh, yes. Oh, but it's even, those actions, once again, you remember those actions. At the point that I said his son had applied for permanent residence for him, this is the same way they came. How? I should show my source. Thankfully, in 2 months, it came out that his own lawyers had admitted. In the same manner, when it comes to the investment, be patient. Be patient. You heard the phrase the Attorney General used. He said the other investigations he's doing, okay, they are mind-blowing. You know, Dr. Ayuni is very moderate, okay? He's not giving away to flamboyant words and swag easily like that. So for Ayuni to tell you that the other investigations against Ofori-Atta, when they come out public, they would blow you away. Please be patient. Be patient. So let me use the publicly available information. That's what I'm using to answer you. And then let's go back for the avoidance of, I say Google and see John Ashcroft's pedigree. You know what it takes to retain John Ashcroft as a lawyer? You are running into millions of dollars. What are you saying? Even the lawyer alone, you're already running into millions of dollars.
Right.
So you see, then let's come to this part, just in case I don't get the opportunity to answer. Look, I think, you see, we've heard, last week we were here, Kofi Benton, my good friend and my lawyer, is not here. Last week I didn't get to answer, and I've seen it on other platforms. Please, this Ofori-Atta return, apart from us saying Kwadwo and the MPP must come in and bring him down immediately, there is also a separate constitutional argument that he has a constitutional duty to come back to Ghana. It's a constitutional duty. As long as he remains Ghanaian, he has a duty. Because, look, Article 12 of the Constitution says that natural persons must also obey the Constitution. We should respect it. Honorable Dafia Meko sits here, Dr. Zato sits here. We are all citizens. We must respect the Constitution. So if Article 12 says, just the instructive part, it says the fundamental human rights and freedoms enshrined in this chapter shall be respected and upheld by the executive, blah, blah, blah. And then by natural and legal persons.
Right.
Ofori-Atta is a natural Ghanaian. That's a natural human being, right? And what is the point? When you go to 19.3 says that the trial of an accused person shall take place in his presence. So that is where his duty. We are not saying come and confess to the office of special prosecutor, etc. Of course, if it does, that's bonanza. But I'm talking about the trial. He must be physically present. It's a duty in the Constitution. It says that it shall take place in his presence. It's not an option. So those who are saying that he doesn't have the duty to come, you know, if it was optional, then what is the essence of the laws on extradition?
Right.
What's the essence? Then why do we have laws on extradition? If you run away, we will use the law to pull you. So this constitutional duty to attend, be physically present, please, is distinct, is separate from saying that, oh, we need him to help investigations. No, that's the one that he doesn't have the duty to help. It is the state that says he's committed some offenses, so the state must go ahead and prove it by itself, right? He doesn't have to help you, but he must make himself physically available. He must come to court. When he enters the court, because of our laws against self-incrimination, when you ask him a question and he thinks that any answer will incriminate him, he has a right to keep quiet. You can't force him to talk, but he must be physically present. So please, let's get a distinction. It's separate. Attending your trial is separate from saying, come and help the prosecution. He doesn't have the duty to help. No. It's the state that must prove his case. But he has a duty to attend. And for the avoidance of doubt, you go to Article 41. It's repeated there again that citizens have a duty to uphold the Constitution. So how do you uphold the Constitution if you're running away and embarrassing us as a nation? Look at 41B. Okay, it says, so the exercise, and this is very important. So the general part of 41, it says, the exercise and enjoyment of rights and freedoms is inseparable from the performance of duties and obligations. And accordingly, it shall be the duty of every citizen, B, to uphold and defend this Constitution. Uphold, that's it, that's a duty. Then you come again, D, to respect the rights, yes, freedoms and legitimate interests of others. You see, respect it, obey. So when the, what do you call it, the state is trying to unravel a matter, the state is investigating a matter in court. When I say investigations, yes, let's be clear. Apart from the police, Yoko, and the rest doing their investigations, the whole court process itself is also another form of investigation.
And the court itself too can investigate.
Exactly. So the court is investigating the matter. So
evidence and all.
Very good. The cross-examination, all that is a form of investigation. So a trial is an investigative process as well, right? That's why lawyers, we are also investigators, right? And the judges. So it says that, so the state is investigating it. And the Constitution says that you must respect, okay, the rights and then the legitimate interests of others. You see? So all of this tied together, Ofori-Atta has one unequivocal duty to return to Ghana and to be present. If he comes and then you ask him a question, he keeps quiet, he doesn't mind you like Mumu. Yes, it's within his rights.
I see.
But he cannot stay outside Ghana. And so, please, that should be made very clear. So anybody who tells you he has no duty to come to Ghana, etc., is dead wrong. I'm saying so. That is dead wrong. He hasn't read the Constitution well. He's mixing them. They are different strands of duties. They are different obligations.
But considering how complex you say the entire case is, which you have just run through, how much of an impact will the protest by Arise Ghana we saw this week and the petition, how much of an impact will that have on the complexity that you've just outlined?
Good. It unravels it a bit. It sends a clear signal to the U.S. government that, look, we are now becoming more and more conscious. So we are aware that once he has investments in the U.S. and also if you look at President Trump's record when it comes to investment, business, etc., it's likely at the end of the day they could just delay and not bring him. So, and you know, I had advocated it even before Arise Ghana went in there. Some months ago, I said that in due course, we want to picket at the U.S. Embassy. We want them to understand that ordinary citizens, we understand this. No, it won't be that, oh yes, we'll bring them. Yes, I've heard the ambassador. Good. We respect the comment, etc. But we also know that in the past, you see, I've been referencing Bush 41. That's the older Bush. It's the way to distinguish them sometimes in American speech. The way they talk there is they call the older one 41, then the son 43, right? Because the older one was the 41st president, and then the
43rd.
then the younger the son was 43rd. Okay, so Bush 41, when he was campaigning for elections,
Senior Bush.
yes, Senior Bush, he said, "Read my lips. There will be no increase in taxes." He came and he increased, right? There are many other examples. You see, President Trump, he makes U-turns willy-nilly, right? So yes, we've heard the ambassador, but we too, it's good that we keep raising the issues by doing the picketing, etc., so that it just tells you that we don't want anything to go wrong. We say in Tree that so as the Americans are committing to bring him, we must persistently complain. And there's a lot of value, I like saying, in noise. You see, when you are protesting, they are doing it well for you, but you keep protesting. It makes the person doing it up his game. Okay, what else can I do to make this noise maker shut up? How can I make it better? True. So it's a challenge. So the noise is welcome any day. We can't keep quiet.
Right.
So we have to support Arise Ghana to continue. It helps. It helps so that they also look at how they can quicken their steps in the U.S. to bring him, so that the deportation, when it comes to the ICE case, maybe the ICE case can be dealt with quickly, and then it can be deported. Then maybe there won't be the need for us to do the extradition case, right? And so we also repeat the request that Kwadwo should step in, and the MPP must step in. We gave them the opportunity to serve, right? They had all the privileges, all the benefits, bathing in the skies, etc. And today, what we are getting as payment is international embarrassment. You Google it, and then Ghana is there. They are being embarrassed. We can't continue to take that embarrassment.
Great. Now, Professor Wajmedia, you saw this, and in fact, you observed this virtual hearing during the week, and you say, would you agree with those who say Ofori-Atta brought this upon himself to just come and end all of this?
Well, first, before I address that, I think the last point made by my very good friend Martin, I've also read a lawyer statement somewhere that is suggesting that, in fact, such demonstrations or protests at the embassy could backfire, because it could strengthen the case of Ofori-Atta if he so decides to use this as an evidence of the political persecution, and therefore he may not get a fair trial if he comes. So there's a negative side to that public demonstration. Hey, doesn't matter. That's
there. Congress, people go to picket all the time. We've lived it.
This is an international issue.
Yeah.
It's not an American demonstration at the Congress. But all I'm saying is that that's a view of another
the
lawyer.
White House.
And you lawyers have different views
So
anyway.
I think that's
Yeah, something like that, yeah. I don't know whether it's legal or not, but I think it's an important point to throw in there. Now, there is no question in my mind, and I've said it publicly, I don't know how many times, that Ofori-Atta should come back. In my humble opinion, he may have been ill-advised by those who advised him not to come, if in fact he's been advised at all. And I believe he has lawyers, and I'm sure lawyers are involved in this kind of advice. And, personally, I don't even know how to say it, but there's no reason for him not to come back. Not coming back, unfortunately, has led to this present predicament. I don't believe that if he had come, first of all, his lawyers could negotiate with the prosecutors or whichever office is handling the case about his coming back and the kinds of, whether protection is afraid or whatever. That could have been negotiated. It's done all the time. So there's no reason, no justification for his refusal to come back. So for me, I don't have a problem with that. But I want to shift the conversation a little bit. You see, at the moment, we are focusing on the individual, his responsibilities, and the accountability that he has for the work that he did. And that is in order. However, I think we should also begin to look at this issue in a broader context. Ofori-Atta as an individual certainly is responsible for any malfeasance or criminal act connected to his office. But Ofori-Atta, as a public officer, did not function in a vacuum.
Sure.
You see, first of all, we should look at the whole system of recruitment into public office. Recruitment in terms of a president, of course, appointing, and what criteria is used in determining appointments.
Perfect.
Look, without necessarily questioning the competence, and this is not only relating to the position of the finance ministry. Of course, Ofori-Atta has done very well in private as an investor. Financing, I don't know. Maybe through that investment expertise, he was also doing some international financial dealings or arrangements. But not the management of the nation's economy, because the money of the country is not just a matter of collecting and distributing. There's a whole political economy about that. And there's a whole system of how that works.
So you could be successful privately, but...
Precise, but not publicly. And so that raises a question of how we recruit, and this across board, whether authorities appointing people put square pegs in round holes. That's number one. So we have to seriously consider the recruitment of public officers. Secondly, we should be looking at this whole idea of political loyalty. And in his case in particular, maybe the personal protection he felt because his cousin was a president. So here I'm looking at whether that also could be related to all the things he did for which he's being called to account. The third and important thing for me here is institutions that we have and the weaknesses of these institutions and the failure of the institutions to get public officers to behave the way that is required. You see, some of the accusations, they are yet to be established, you know. The SML and other things were sent to Parliament, isn't it?
Sure.
And Parliament as institution, my good brother is here, Majority Whip. Parliament as an institution approved some of these things. Whether on partisan basis or not, that is not the point. We're talking about the effectiveness of institutions to ensure transparency.
National Cathedral and all of that.
Yes. So it tells me that the weaknesses of our institutions could have been part of the problem. Because I'm looking at the long-term solutions that will not only stop people like Ofori-Atta in swindling the country, but for subsequent individuals in public positions to avoid that kind of behavior. So I'm not excusing him, but I'm also pointing out that these are...
So didn't get parliamentary approval. In fact,
I'm saying some of the decisions were policy decisions that were sent to Parliament for discussion and approval. Of course, and all could be part of the problem.
I think the SML, one of the charges was it being done without parliamentary approval.
Exactly.
Yes.
And without PPA approval.
Precisely.
28 charges against him
Exactly.
by the OSP.
Exactly.
Great. So those that got approval, we know.
understand.
And others, he bypassed Parliament. And of course, we can even ask the question, how could he bypass Parliament if the law required him to submit it to
It's
to
the question I
Parliament?
was asking earlier.
Yeah.
That we have too many of those instances where people are managing to bypass Parliament,
That's right.
bypass institutions of
That
state,
is-
and still do things.
That's right.
How do we allow that to continue?
That, again, reflects the weaknesses in our structures of accountability and transparency. So let's look at that.
Yeah.
So we don't have a recurrence of that. You see, so for me, whether we crucify him or not, or whether we say let the blood flow, as we heard in 1978, after the blood flowed, what happened? Didn't we revert to the same old bad habit of corruption and theft of public assets? It hasn't ended.
It must go beyond.
So
that
I
individual.
think this could be a wonderful occasion for all of us to consider how best we re-engineer our governance to ensure that the easiness with which public officers are able to do things can be kept. That, for me, is my long-term interest. So sure, Ofori-Atta will come and face the consequences of his actions, no doubt. But let's look also beyond that. Because if the focus is on him, you get him and we crucify him and it's gone, have we solved the fundamental issues that enable him, for that matter, that enables any other public officer to steal the people's money and assets? That, for me, I think should be a focus.
It's a very, very important point, you see, and Dr. Zato, so I bring you in because the call for accountability is the reason why there's that unwavering focus and, in fact, the interest in this matter of Kenneth and Ofori-Atta and what happened in court this week. The demand that come and answer questions that borders on decisions taken during your tenure of office. That is not one to contest, isn't it?
Well, thank you very much. And I want to associate myself with a lot of the things that Prof has said. Actually, if you look at those pictures, the still ones of Ken Ofori-Atta, they are very humbling.
You mean the one?
Yes, the ones of him in court.
In the detention
Look at
center.
them. I mean, when you look, they are humbling. And no matter whom you are, be humble. And as we're talking about different forms of accountability, that should be a very powerful image to anybody.
This one.
This one. These ones. These should be a very powerful image to any man or woman who today has the power to serve the state.
That's right.
Any man or woman. That no matter how this case finally ends, the fact that you can look at this. Yesterday you saw the man striding along a giant in Ghana, in the finance and everything. Today, let me say, being humbled. If this alone does not tell you that can be accountability one day, nothing else will. Just far away in Trumpland. Not over here. So that's the first thing. I wonder that it should be another form of naming and shaming is accountability. Such processes is for accountability. Okay. And so I wonder, let it sip in, watch it, and ask yourself how far we've come or how low we've come. No matter how you decide to read it, the fact should remain that one day, there will be accountability. Professor says something, and the general idea people try to make is that Ken, whose guilt has not been proven by any court, by whom to public opinion thinks that he's guilty. One of the reasons is because of his close association with President Nana Akufo-Addo, the former president of the Republic of Ghana. And that is because this idea of family and friends was raised to a crescendo. Made it look like family and friends was what? The one that was leading to corruption. And so it was kind of seen that whatever Ken was doing could get away with it because his cousin was Nana Akufo-Addo. Nobody looked at the fact that this was a man who has run one of the financial giants in this country about investment, but it was done that. And so it was also then hypothesized that to prevent similar things from future, we should avoid, reduce, or completely eliminate family and friends. Have we done that? Have we removed the family and friends syndrome in Ghanaian politics? No. It's still there in this current government. A lot of family and friends still occupy powerful positions.
But far less.
A lot of powerful family and friends still occupy positions. So what have we learned, or what are we learning from this? We bastardize this, and we bastardize Ken because we believe this. We've not learned anything. We are perpetuating, we are doing exactly the same family and friends things that we should do. So as a country, it then begins to ask the question, have we gone or have we not come? That is something that we ought to begin to understand and know that, look, either we come to the terms that families and friends exist, and sometimes they are also active partisan political players. You cannot just somebody because we are family stop your political dreams or ambitions. If we make that a clarion call and not the fact that we should hold you accountable to the same laws, it becomes because if your argument was that Ken was doing this because his cousin was the president, what about all the other family and friends doing that? What are they also doing that we don't know, what I won't see, because their relatives are in powerful positions? What will we see if tomorrow their relatives are not in powerful positions? Naturally, I want to make a point, personally, and I've said this. If I could give him direct counsel, I will say be here tomorrow.
You tell Ofori-Atta
cannot be here to come here tomorrow, face the trial, man up, face the trial, and let the chips fall wherever they may be. That would be my advice, and that's my official position. That because it's going to be, and part of the thing is that it's going to be a drop, take thing that just keeps going on, and it doesn't help anybody. But then we come to the actions of the perennial and habitual demonstrators.
Send a message.
And it's a legitimate point. If a man's argument is that because of the actions and inactions or otherwise of my stay in office, and because it is hyper-partisan, I will not get a fair trial. Then you turn the TVs and you see men and women at the US Embassy literally calling for his blood. Literally screaming, kill him, crucify him. Then the man can make that argument, and we can all down make that argument. You said it's a ruse. It could be. But then we also know this. That's why lawyers exist on technicalities, right? Because with the technicalities, the law is just poetry. It's just literature.
Yeah. Okay.
That could be the case. That could be what somebody will hang this whole thing. We told you that this will happen. Look at what they are doing. They're supercharging the whole system. Because the question is, then they're saying that is there any judge who can see these placards, who can see this and free him? That the public anger may be visited on that judge or that judiciary system. When you do that, you are giving people, you may be giving him weapons. And then if those weapons are not successfully used, I'm not saying they should be, I'm not saying they will be, but it's possible that those become weapons, armory, if they are successfully deployed and it doesn't happen, then you begin to do what Martin tries to do, to blame a political party for the actions of an individual. How? I mean, I always say this, I don't know what you gain by doing that. Why?
And you heard Professor Bafo make the point about Ofori-Atta not acting alone.
Yes.
And that he acted as a result of both an appointee within an administration.
Exactly. We said that. And fortunately for us, the other people that he was supposed to arrest, they are already there.
What?
No, he was charged with other people, right?
Well, he's just his chief of staff.
Exactly. I agree. No. I mean, all the charges that the SP brought, there are so many people that were so
yes, charged. That's for SML. SML is one of 5 issues that the OSP is asking questions of him. There's a petroleum and minerals revenue assurance contract. There's the electricity contract termination. That's the cancellation of the ECG agreement with Beijing BX. And then there's the National Cathedral. And then there's SML one.
Yes. So I don't understand. What's the question then?
So, no, you are referencing the fact that there are others that he's being charged with.
Yes.
But this is just specific to just the
exactly.
SML case.
So what I'm saying is that the state can go ahead with, because I don't think all these cases, the state is again that he just acted alone.
No.
So there were other people too. So those people, I don't know whether their trials have begun. Or we are waiting. Or is it
the
whole trial?
It's in the US with his aide, Akori, and there's Akori.
So the point I'm trying to make is that, again, the more you try unsuccessfully to make this a partisan case, whenever you accuse his political party, you are making the case a partisan case. The moment you try to bring in the former president, you are making a partisan case. But this is not, he's not been tried or he's not been looked for his partisan case. No. He's been looked for one, you were made a minister. There were laws, there were rules and regulations that govern how you should perform those duties. Did you do that? Did you protect and preserve the laws that were given to you, both the letter and the spirit of the law? Did you implement policies, make decisions in the supreme interest of this country? That is what is at stake. Not his association otherwise, because I don't think the MPP did not hold a meeting to say, Ken, you can do this. No, most of the things are done either administrative or a policy. In fact, I don't think you'll be surprised to hear that there are people within his own political party who were against what he was doing. They did. They protested. They wrote letters. The MPP rose up. There were people, MPs, how many MPs? 88 MPs wrote a letter. So whenever you are roping in the party, you are also 98 good.
Eventually the entire caucus.
Thank you. My point is that then, when you then keep accusing the party, you're also scandalizing them. Because they're like, listen, we actually rose up against this thing to put on record. Today we are referencing that because they were saying that is not whom we are, that's not our party. They are referencing that. So whenever you do that, then they ask you, what did you do when this happened? So my point is, look, let's roll back the partisanship. Roll back the partisanship. Okay. And let's try to deal this case solely based on its merits or otherwise. Right. If you don't do that, and we begin, and you try to bring in the party, then before you realize, so far you've seen that. The whole party, the structures of the party, they've just kept quiet because here's a man fighting for his liberties and freedoms. You have to respect that too. No matter what, he has his fundamental human rights. When you begin to make it a partisan case, when you begin to rope the party in, before you realize the party may realize, oh, look, we are not going to sit down and allow an individual to just keep roping us in. Then the party may then begin to, and before you realize, it becomes the regular or the normal NDC, NPP football. We don't want that. Let's deal with this case just solely on its merits and let the man one day have his day in court and let the court decide what he has to do. Right. And I'm saying this, even if this trial goes, this is delays, and he gets and it goes for 10 years, 20 years, 10 years, it comes. No matter the attorney general, the government that is there, if he is found guilty, we should not issue a nolle prosequi.
All right.
We should not. Because I'm saying this is important. One of the reasons why you can see the state try to be a little bit of a hurry to prosecute this, because the state is afraid that if it comes at a later date, another attorney general in that office may issue a nolle prosequi as that happened. So let's give and do it quickly. My question is, can we create a system where politicians and big men like this cannot game the nolle prosequi thing in this act? Because you made a point. So that they contribute plenty money, political successes. That is why my argument is, that is why they then get the nolle prosequi. It's because they do that because the attorney general comes and then they tell you, hey, we gave 10 million, 2 million, 5 million for you to come to power. If we hadn't given the money, you wouldn't be in power. So in return, give us a nolle prosequi. Unless or until we remove the nolle prosequi as an incentive for corruption. Unless or until we make it that nolle prosequi doesn't incentivize corruption. If we do not do that, then these things you are talking about will keep happening. It will keep gaming the system.
I'll come to you in a bit, but this concern, well, not a concern, but the position that Martin Kpebu espouses, that because of Ofori-Atta's reported investment in the United States, it could make the entire process of getting him back to Ghana a bit more complex. Is it one that also bothers you, or one that you see as a potential challenge to the call for accountability?
Well, yes. I mean, all the factors are things that could influence the eventual outcome. However, I think it's also important to recognize that this case is so critical to the government of Ghana that I can imagine that the engagements going on between our government and their government will highlight how much of an embarrassment it will be for our country if this were not handled well. And so they'll try and compel the U.S. government to say, listen, based on all the other things where we do a little bit of trade-off and lobbying, this is one of those instances where, although there may be so much of an investment, it will critically impact our bilateral relationships. So one needs to be very cautious. So I agree with Lawyer Martin Kpebu that this is a substantive issue to consider, but I'm expecting that the officials of Ghana would do that kind of discussion to say, look, this is one of those instances where it's a landmark issue for us, that so many issues have come up where this particular individual needs to come back and answer to it. I think also for me, it's a very sobering point in the history of our country. I mean, who could have imagined 2-3 years ago that our own Kith and Kin, our former Minister of Finance, would be seen on a screen in a foreign country wearing the garb of the prisons there? I mean, I don't think we should have this discussion without thinking about our pride, what it does to us as a people. You know, it doesn't matter that it may be a political person, actor. This is still a Ghanaian. And I feel embarrassed. I feel that we should not allow ourselves to get to this kind of situation. And maybe it's a good reminder for our politicians and other technocrats. Let's not, trivialize this. You may, in a few years' time, end up with a situation like this. Mind you, the man had entered the U.S. in January on a 6-month visa. By May, knowing very well that if it expired, he might be picked up. He moved to the UK, got a renewal for 6 months, so got back in May, but it was up to November. But by June, the red notice was out. Sure. Now, this cycle would have repeated. And I'm just saying, look at the amount of effort it was now taking him just to try and avoid. Yeah, let's think about that. How much effort you would now have to put yourself through. But by November, because there was now a red notice, he could not attempt leaving, renewing, and coming back because it had been picked up in a foreign country. So he was stuck till January. Now you have an extradition request. How much more complicated has his life become?
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about ethical leadership. Ethical leadership being that all of us, when we are appointed into positions of trust, you must know what is right. Do what is right. Influence the people around you to do what is right. It is why the Conduct of Public Officers Bill is so critical to this country. And I'd like to talk to Honorable Dafam. We need to pass this law so that we go beyond voluntary commitment to doing what is right to a legally binding and actionable law, where it will not be, oh, it is only in the Constitution. And Lawyer Kpebu has done a good job of highlighting that you are supposed to come back. Yes. But it should not be, it's like, okay, it's in the Constitution, so I have the choice to decide whether or not. I mean, it's surprising. At that level, it should not even be his lawyers who tell him. You should know yourself that you need to come back and answer to the questions. So we need to pass the conduct of power. I'm just trying to say one of the solutions going forward is get this law passed because it's not legally binding. Right there, it is not a voluntary commitment in some code of conduct, but you must be here to answer for your period, your tenure of office. And that's what every right person would do, right thinking person would do. And so we are expecting him to make it easier for all of us. Come and answer the questions. The same legal expertise you are paying for there. If you are here, engaging that legal expertise to help you answer the questions, that to me would be fair. But to be using that to say you will not come back, it really.
His lawyers in Ghana have indicated he's not running away from accountability.
No, but it is obvious to us because you don't have any medical report. You see, one of the problems was this: there is no report indicating that he has a flight risk. There's a problem for him jumping on a plane coming back. There is no medical report saying that his health condition prevents him from coming back. So what is the issue? That's the problem.
And even if he came with all the documents on his health to a Ghanaian court,
yes,
I'm sure Ghanaian judge will look at the situation and determine whether he should even go back to continue medication. You see,
it doesn't add up.
Anyway.
It really doesn't add up. In fact, that's why, and all of us are aligned. When initially the OSP was hounding him and they said he had to go, we all had a backlash against the special prosecutor that, let the man go, he's not well. You know, they say he's not, just let him go and come. But now he's gone. It now makes us all equally more responsible to say, you better come back, because it is clear from all the evidence, and we don't agree with his lawyers who are saying he shouldn't come back now. Unless there's a medical report at this stage, a flight risk report that says there will be some problem if he got to a plane. There is no current evidence suggesting that the man cannot come and answer the questions. And I think that rather than this rigmarole where we find him on screen in a foreign land, in a prison's garb, it's so sad.
He brought it upon himself.
He did bring it upon himself, together with those advising him.
So how much premium would you put on the assurances by the officials of the U.S. government who engaged with the Foreign Affairs Minister a little over a week ago that they will not stand in the way of Ghana in this, if there has to be an extradition of Ken Ofori-Atta and Sheldon Tamaklo, those two, taking into consideration the complexities that Kpebu referenced?
I disagree to the degree that Martin went. Because you see, America is like the standard for holding both private citizens and public officers accountable in matters of the law. America itself has found it necessary to convict a lot of its own millionaires or investors, so to speak, when they were established or determined to have flouted their laws, especially in financial matters. So a plethora of names, even movie actors like Wesley Snipes, who was later determined that his managers evaded some tax, nearly about $9.5 million. Even though he had to pay back that, he was sentenced. He served some time and came out. And he said he learned his lessons. So as for America, if you breach the law, it may not even be the government, because in their system they have private prosecutors. They'll prosecute you. Because you see, if they allow certain things to fester, the federal state will deteriorate. So they don't tolerate it. If it comes to their attention, they deal with it. Now, the Ofori-Atta issue, I believe we need to deal with it in the manner that we see fit. Why? Like Senator said, when the man wanted to leave, and there was some hesitation regarding allowing him to leave, some of them spoke and said, by all means, the man cannot be confined to this jurisdiction. So if he needed medical help, we should allow him to go and that he will return. Eventually, he departed after the elections. If I recall, he left on the night of 6th of January, just before the transition concluded effectively for the handover. And so, if I'm correct, it's our chief of staff who eventually said, okay, will allow you to go. You know, so in a way, you have even put our own chief of staff into some trouble for listening to the sentiments and eventually believing that you will return. When, if you recall, again, when in the heat of the OSP investigations, and it was necessary to visit his home, and national security operatives went, our colleagues in parliament, they came to the floor. They actually demonstrated, came to the floor, raised the matter, as if going to the homes of public servants, whether current or past, was an abhorrence. I cited, for instance, when I contributed to the matter that generated some debate on the floor, I cited the situation of my brother John Jinapo. I cited the situation of Komna Donko. I cited the situation of Collins Dauda. Their homes were ransacked. In some places, in their absence. They didn't see it as an abhorrence at the time. So in the course of that, the minority leader, my brother Anowa Penyomakin, swore to us and guaranteed that by a certain date in June of 2025, because these matters were around about a year ago, it was around sometime in March 2025, that sometime in June, he was assuring us in Parliament, the nation, that Ofori-Atta will return, that he was seeking medical attention. My boss, the Honorable Ayariga, before we rose, he asked him, you came to undertake to this Parliament. You know, when he was giving his closing remarks, if you recall, that you, when he said Zacchaeus should come down, you remember that famous phrase, so Ofori-Atta should come down. He said, you came to assure this house and the nation that Gyan will return, and so that we can all deal with these matters. And in terms of our standing orders, we will hold you to it because you came to give assurance to the house.
Right.
So that matter will be treated from that perspective. But here is the case. Sometime in 2023 or 24 or 22, Ken was so sick he couldn't deliver the budget. Yeah. He had to take the Honorable Chairman Sabunsu to do it in his stead. So some of us were saying that, oh, Well, that was a nice school. You seamlessly move into from being the majority leader and minister for parliamentary affairs to the finance minister. So we used to tease him as the acting finance minister. Ken eventually returned, and ever since he's been wearing the face mask. Ever since.
And he still does.
He won't allow anybody to do the work of the finance minister. Even though he was visibly unwell at the time. He won't. He had to take the president to give him an assistant by way of a minister of state in charge of Ministry of Finance. But when the members put pressure, their own members of parliament, 98 initially, and then eventually when it snowballed into some effect, Oseche Mensah actually held a press conference after meeting the president and said there was no way they could not support or they could not back the 138. So now it became a case of all of them, more than the entire majority, saying that they didn't want Ken. So the president had to beg them to say that, okay, allow the man to finish this fiscal year. And that from about 2023 or 4, if I recall, they will find a replacement. It didn't happen until eventually he had to go for Atta to come in. So, by all means, I have just watched a video of Ofori-Atta engaged in a demonstration, public demonstration in front of the Flagstaff House here, demanding accountability from office holders, that this nation deserves more, and that we couldn't allow public servants and politicians to do this to this country at the time. So he came onto the streets with a red how do you say, bandana, with a chain around his neck, demanding accountability from public officers. What was he doing? He was asking that if you hold public office, and this one, not even under any form of investigation, but just putting what we call public opinion and public pressure, so that public servants will work well and secure the interests of the republic and the state. He did it. With Esana Nkrumah, my senior, supporting him in the chorus, that he works like a bull and he pays taxes, so the government ought to work like a bull. All these things were said in a public demonstration. Today, you can elect, and here's the difference. What he's going through was not about compulsion. He has elected between returning home voluntarily and going through the process. He has elected that the comforts of his residence in Ghana is such that it is better to sit in an ice cubicle in the winter in somewhere in the US. And it should tell you, it should tell you that the enormity of the charges that he faces back home. I'm not aware, honestly, apart from those that have been made public. I'm told that some are so serious. Some are so serious that it means he's aware.
These 5 there. Petroleum Minerals Revenue Assurance. This was the OSP alone.
These are from OSP. The AG itself
said it will blow
AG
you
itself
away.
is telling us.
It will blow you away.
And you see, if you speak to some of the MPs, they will tell you that he actually, because they will oppose his stay in office, he actually went out of his way to get rid of them.
That's what the MPs
That's my friends, MP who have lost their seat. That's what they tell you. He actually sponsored candidates against them and got rid of them. Because they were vocal that it's gotten to a stage where a new person ought to take the helm of affairs. So he himself is ominously aware of the things he did and that they are being uncovered. So otherwise, what is it? Is the judicial system that we have, what is it that you cannot come and speak to your charges, even if any, and are filed before the court. Look, the Honorable Kwame Pepra, he served as a finance minister. He sat on the seat that you sat. You hounded him. He didn't go anywhere. Why? He couldn't have taken his passport and left. But he stayed here and dealt with the issues. His deputy, Victor Salome, deputy finance minister, when he was sick, he was vomiting blood. He had to come to court vomiting blood. You didn't spare him. So I am not saying that, but we are saying that every other person who occupied the same office that you occupied and were called upon to account, and eventually some ended up in charges and arraigned before court. They faced their charges. They defended themselves gallantly in the matter. So by all means, calm down and defend yourself. In any case, you were not the only. Amin Anta succeeded you. You had deputies. So if there are any matters to be spoken to, means you can get assistance from these people who work with you. There were directors, there were chief directors. So why would you do this? In any case, you have businesses here. We have businesses here. Your enterprise, we are where you have interest in. Now enterprise properties, we know you have interest in. So it's not serving himself and his business image well in absconding from the jurisdiction. Yeah. At all. At all. And you see, when you do this, then the courts take public judicial notice of such conduct. So when tomorrow a politician is in trouble, the courts are reluctant. Because then they'll be borrowing from your conduct and say that you politicians, anytime you are called upon to account for your state worship, you abscond from the jurisdiction. So you see, because bail, a lot of factors go into a court considering bail. And conduct is one key factor. Because bail is all to guarantee the court that I will be available to attend to court and answer my charges. But if by conduct, deliberately, you want to avoid coming to court, the court will hold you down. They'll anchor you here. In the US, they call it, what they put around your leg, as it called?
Oh, the leg monitor?
Yes. You can't move your substance. Yes.
And we need to introduce
so there's a bond, he's applied for bail, actually, which is going to be held on.
No, I'm not dealing with the US matter, because as for the US, that is, it has nothing to, because if he left today that he wants to leave, they will just ship him out without going through all this process.
It will bring everything to an end.
Yes, if he left today that I want to leave. No, because the essence of what they are doing is that your stay is unlawful.
Exactly.
And your existence places a further burden on the public purse, because when you are sick, you go to the hospital, they take care of you. That's the thinking of the American.
Exactly.
So if you let to leave their shores today, they'll ship you off. Quickly, they'll put you on the flight and ship you off. So he must elect to come back. If he does that, all this trial, all these matters that is playing out in the US comes to an end.
And he would win a lot of respect.
Yes.
He would have won a lot of respect by doing that.
But he won't do it.
You know?
He won't do it because he has lawyers here. Anytime he comes, they write. Meanwhile, I've been asking the OSP to go and serve the process on the lawyers. The summons that they've gone to fight, they should serve it on the lawyers. We know his service for address. They will act. But when you want to do that, they say, no, we don't act for him in this matter. So, Ken must come down. Because children are learning from such things that when you're a public officer, you must be willing to account. The day we were vetting him, the questions, you have to go back to the Hansard and read the kinds of things that were said about him. He was a Yale trained, he was he was the best thing that ever happened to our financial sector, all those things. And today, you don't want those highfalutin sounding testimonials to come to your aid.
Well, no, thank you. Professor Rafa is going to take a leave of us in a bit, but this call for Ken to come back is eventually going to, as Adam Senanu said and Dafi Amko said, would bring this entire process to an end, then, you said he's going to get some respect, but you say it's too late. that respect will not come.
As for the respect, I'm not sure now because it's been so dirty. I'm not sure. But still, knowing Ghanaians, there'll be some sympathy for him. You see, we have sympathy for people who, for one reason or the other, find themselves in such a quagmire. So I think the honorable parliamentarian's point is well made. And there's no, as I said in my earlier remarks, there's no reason to justify why he wouldn't come back. So you should cut it short and come back. But having said that, honorable, don't ever overlook the issues are raised. The system deficiencies, the institutional deficiencies, what makes it possible for a minister to do certain things outside the law. These are things that we have to take a critical look at.
Let me answer.
Because we should be looking at prevention.
So, you see, the way also our parliaments are structured, we oppose. If you recall, a lot of the things we oppose.
I know.
E-levy. You have to remember our fight. The e-levy matter is still in court.
Yes.
As we speak.
Okay.
Technically, it's still in court. The court hasn't determined it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Even the budget that he brought.
Even though been taken off.
Yes. Even though the budget that he brought.
Yes.
We vetoed it, if you recall. It was reinstated. So sometimes you don't blame us too much.
I'm not blaming you.
But the system.
The system, the institution. That's all.
I agree.
Professor Bafajwendia, thank you very much for joining us. As he takes leave of us, we'll also quickly be... Musa Dankwa is joining us. We'll also have Sejiri also is going to be joining us, also a private legal practitioner. But this is what Frank Davis, a private legal practitioner, and one of the lawyers of the former Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, also spoke sometime within the week to join news. He said Ken Ofori-Atta is not running away from accountability. He is not afraid of coming back. He is ready to answer all the questions. Take a look.
Kennedy, it's not scared criminal prosecution. So those who are saying he should come in account, they should rest their voice. When it is appropriate for Ken to come, he will come. Whether by extradition or otherwise, he will come. And when he comes, he face the full throttle of the law. Nobody is shielding Ken. Nobody should have that conviction that anyone is shielding Ken. But Ken is supposed to have legal representation. And that is what we have as a Ghanaian. Nobody can take those legal rights of him. So those who are making all kinds of uncontrolled noise, I mean, just advise themselves. Nanaya is not scared criminal prosecution. So those who are saying he should come in account, they should rest their voice. When it is appropriate for Ken to come, he will come. Whether by extradition or otherwise, he will come. And when he comes, he face the full throttle of the law. Nobody is shielding Ken. Nobody should have that conviction that anyone is shielding Ken. But Ken is supposed to have legal representation. And that is what we have as a Ghanaian. Nobody can take those legal rights of him. So those who are making all kinds of uncontrolled noise, I mean, just advise themselves.
And that's Frank Davis there. Isaac Ejiri Danson, also a private legal practitioner, a lecturer at the Gimpa Law School, one-time best graduating law student in this country. Now, Mr. Dapen, sorry, he's going to have his last word on this, but Mr. Sanu, quickly, that's his lawyer. Not afraid of accountability, is ready to come answer questions. So, where is the disconnect here?
We see that actions speak much louder than words. And unfortunately for us, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta has failed to pass that test. When we all thought that the OSP should allow him to go and come back, the target was, I think, June 3rd or 5th or something like that. He didn't show up. I think it was only just a few days before that he suddenly sent a message he was not going to show up, they should deal with his lawyers. And since then, we've seen that strenuous effort, it seems, not to come back willingly when we don't see that there's any medical threat? Indeed, the current assessment that the embassy said that ICE did on him said he was fit. He was fit to be in the prisons of the U.S.
True.
How can somebody be fit to be in the prisons of the U.S. for an extended period and cannot get, and that's why I was talking about, there's no medical report saying that he can't come back. There is nothing showing that there's a flight risk posed to him, his health, his life. And he can't come back and answer questions when this is a standard basic element of leadership that you should be accountable. Unfortunately, his actions do not support what the lawyers are saying. And many of us have now drawn the conclusion that this man is attempting to run away from, as it were, being accountable to the people. And that's very unfortunate.
Isaac, is that quite evident?
The MPP of Darocha, Sakiskek, Victor Wusu, Kofi Buzia, Professor Edubuahe, Alajete, J.A. Kufuor, those men of value, those men of integrity are not what we have today. I tell you without mincing words, the 5 people who are contesting, wanting to be flag bearers, are just sankwas. I tell you without mincing words, the 5 people who are contesting, wanting to be flag bearers, are just sankwas. I tell you without mincing words, the 5 people who are contesting, wanting to be flag bearers,